Hello everyone, welcome aboard as we are in a new year of live shows, and everything looks all right here, and here we go. Hello. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is the first live tech show of the year. Pretty amazing. Already new year starting up with its usual crappy AdSense, but a little less crappy than January of last year, so I'm hoping for the best. So welcome aboard. This is the live tech show. This is the show number 102, and we are here every Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2000 hours UTC. So I look a bit grumpy. Yeah, maybe I am. You know what? I am a little bit because of one thing, Volts. I've been going crazy with the downstairs neighbors that make too much noise. So it's not the crappy AdSense per se. It's more of the crappy 24 hours that I just had here. So maybe I do look a little grumpy. You know, sometimes we don't realize these things sometimes. Especially when you're live, you know, all the people are looking at you, and you're like, yeah. So it's like, you know, sometimes you have other people telling you what you look like. So nice to have everybody on board. Happy New Year, everyone, and we are here for another year of shows, and hopefully things are gonna go all right. So this is a show where we have some tech news, we answer some questions. Today's questions are solely and only by two people, Alex Tuttle and Martin, that are asking questions about the Spectre and Meltdown huge security problem, and we'll be answering those to the best possible way, and we'll see not only the complexity of the things, but also not to panic too much about this also. So nice to have everybody on board. Sean Robinson, hello there. Douglas Elliott, Bobby Burgess, Christine Bowman, Tim Robinson, Patrick Manny, The Vaults. Anybody else, say hello please. If I've missed out on anyone, say hello please. It's always nice to have all of you on board. Cool Tech, hello there. Nice to have everybody here on this new year of live shows. So, kind of new layout. I was looking at, you know, have the kind of working around the layout and just trying new things. And I thought, new year, new layout on the screen. Maybe that, you know, why not? And also ideas and things. So thanks everybody. I've had a lot of people saying, hey, I really miss the shows. So flavor the water as usual. So cheers. And hope everybody is going all right. So part of the reason I'm still here, of course, is donations. If anybody can donate or spare a little something, it's been helping me out tremendously in this January of crappy AdSense. It's even more useful than usual, but you know, I was saying at the beginning, it's crappy AdSense. January is always crappy AdSense. I mean, every company spends all of their cash for Christmas holiday season, so there's always less in the January. But the good news of the January that we have right now is that in the first 9 days right now, I have better monetization than of January of 2017, which it's interesting because of two things. I've noticed that the CTR, the click-through rate, or the number of ads being displayed, is a little higher than it was last year. So there seems to be more ads. And the cost per click, which usually falls down to really low levels like 2 cents or 3 cents, it's been maintaining itself at 4 or 5 cents, which all of that together gives not the best AdSense you can have, but it's not the worst AdSense I'll ever have either. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. So we'll cross our fingers, because I do think AdSense is a little different this year. So Sheriff's House, nice to have you here. Bobby Ross, nice to have you here. Cycler39, pretty cool. So PayPal is one way at paypal.com/Sean shortwave, or if you already donated, you can use the email that you have. The Yahoo email works fine. Patreon.com/radioandcomputers. You can join 8 patrons right now, giving me a little something every month, and hope that you enjoy my shows. I'm especially calling out the people that might be able to donate but never did donate for some reason, and that love my shows and watch my shows regularly. So thanks everybody for your donations. And remember one thing, hey Alex Tuttle, nice to have you here. Today we are having the return of the double shows, meaning there's this tech show now that's happening, and then we'll go to the Insider channel at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC, and of course with the Insider show on the Insider channel. Yes, I did, Alex. Thank you so much for your card. I did get cards from a few fans. Your cards, Alex Tuttle, were really nice. Thank you very much. It feels good to get these from fans, or people that watch my shows. Also, all your list of great gifts that you've had, really cool. I've had some from Gripple Pearl send me a couple of cards, and I had a few e-cards from other viewers, and really thank you. It's always kind of cool, and really nice to have you on board. Well, at least I got an envelope, Tim. Nice to have everybody here. So, in the news, of course, the big thing is Spectre and Meltdown. Yeah, that's the big news. Starts the year with really huge news, basically. Okay, so we'll answer some questions in the questions section that come from Alex Tuttle, and like I said, from Martin, that has questions about this. Good questions too, because obviously, if you know a little bit about tech, you understand that it's going to be a complex thing to fix, and that it's really something. Yeah, Vault's New Year presents from Intel. Yeah, because first of all, it's mostly Intel. A lot of people are telling me, oh, well, AMD or not, or, well, AMD is not as affected. It is affected by Spectre, but not really by Meltdown, which is the worst of the two anyways. So it's really, Intel is like the bulk of the problems, and there's problems with AMD, Intel, and also from the ARM side. So yes, Sean, but there's a reason for that. Actually, so basically, just to update, there's a problem with the fact that okay, so AMD PCs, some of them crashed due to the really fast release of the Windows 10 patch, the Windows patch. So they stopped sending the update right now for that, and it's but they're yeah, well, Vols, I think they're both bad. That's obvious. They're both bad. The only thing is the Spectre one is maybe a little easier to exploit than the Meltdown one. It's kind of easier to exploit. So basically, they are anyways bad because you can easily read stuff. So Intel's affected the most. ARM and AMD are affected also. It's really a mishmash what's happening. So, okay, on the Windows side, we've got AMD crash for some, but very specific. It's a very specific AMD Athlon CPUs that crashed for the Windows patch. Now, Microsoft, it's not totally clear, but Microsoft says this morning, well, it's the fault of AMD because we didn't have the right documentation to push the update correctly. So, okay, it's a back and forth. I don't know who exactly is the problem in that patch? Yeah, okay. You know, you can blame the other, but maybe it's you. I don't know. We're not really sure. But one of the things is that happening is, first of all, the patch is not available for everybody. If you got third-party antivirus, it doesn't work. They can't send it. There's all sorts of little things. If you got an AMD PC that wasn't patched, it's not being patched right now. We're working on a fix. I didn't see the reports of the Lenovo Intel blue screening. I saw the one on AMD. You know, the news, sensational news, bricked PC. Well, it's not bricked. Just need to reinstall Windows. It is a big deal. I mean, we got to admit, it is a big deal to get. It ain't fun to reinstall Windows, and plus put it on the side of the little, you know, the people that don't know anything about computers, and that's the crazy thing. Now Intel, of course, pushing patches, but the biggest problem, that's a huge issue, because the kind of people that are here and the kind of people that are in everyday life on the PC are not the same people. And basically what's happening is that for the most part, a lot of machines will never be patched at the firmware level or at the BIOS level. It'll never happen on a ton of machines. So we gotta realize that the only line of defense is the patches that will show up within the operating system. So Mac computers got an update. I believe it brings the Mac OS to 10.13.2. iOS for iPhones, iPads got an update. On their part, what's nice is that Mac computers can also update the firmware at the same time. And that, for the Mac side, is nice because it's something that's not present in Windows. You know, in the Mac side, there's one nice thing about the way that, because they designed the machine and the software, when you send an update, you can both patch the firmware and the operating system, which is very nice. In Windows, it's not like that. You can't, you know, Microsoft doesn't send a patch that will update your BIOS or something. It ain't working like that. It often is something you rely on from the manufacturer, and nobody knows what the hell the UEFI firmware and all of that is. You know, it's just crazy. So, but the thing is, the patch within the operating system doesn't patch. It's, you know, like putting a band-aid. It's not like fixing it at the source, which is really, really crazy. So it's just crazy, you know. I mean, it's an extremely difficult patch to fix if you're not fixing it from the source, which is what half or 75% of the people will not do. And unless you're really knowledgeable about computers, you know, it's very nice that Intel jumps today and says, hey, we're gonna, you know, patch 90% of the Intel the Intel CPUs of the past 5 years within this week, and the 10% that's left from the past 5 years, that's going to be patched within, you know, by the end of the month. You know, that's a beautiful story. It's very nice. It doesn't address the issue that, hello, nobody knows about this, and nobody, well, everybody knows about the flaw. Nobody knows that the best patch is the one in the firmware or the BIOS, and nobody has an idea of that. So I don't know, you know, this is crazy. Reminds me of Android at this moment, because every manufacturer has to update their own BIOS / UEFI firmware / crazy, really, really stupid, you know. But the thing is, you know, there's some of you, like Alex or Volson, you know, some of you know what that is and will update everything possible to block everything. But I put myself because the channel that I have here is a channel that is trying to stay at the level of the everyday, you know, user that doesn't know much about PCs, but that needs help. That really needs help. And that side is, you know, how do you want to explain to an ordinary little lady on their computer, oh, well, you've got to update that UEFI firmware on your machine. So you go to the manufacturer website and you're like, you already lost everybody. You already lost everybody just by saying that. So, you know, and let's face it, we all, or a lot of us have PCs that have various years of age. For example, I got a 5-year-old PC here, which is the most recent one. And I got a 6 or 7 or 8 or 9-year-old PC around the house. I got tons of things. It's really, you know, it's really crazy. And these machines won't be patched, except at the level of the operating system, which means you're kind of trying to make it harder to get in the, you know, get to exploit the flaws. You ain't fixing the flaws. I mean, whatever you say, you know, Microsoft pushed an update. Whatever you say, it just makes it harder. It doesn't prevent it. It makes it harder. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know to what point Microsoft can, you know, I mean, we've always, you know, one of the situations that is the problem here, the basics, is this, is the fact that each manufacturer is in charge of updating the basic code of the machine. And then you got Windows on top of that. You know, maybe that's where we understand it. Maybe there needs to be a change on how things work in a PC, and that within Windows be more of that type of updating possibility. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy. I was looking at a show the other day where they were explaining, you know, how do you want to explain something like that to ordinary people? I mean, you know, of course, we gotta rely on the fact, because that's what everybody's saying. Gotta rely on the fact that, yeah, there's nobody yet that is exploiting the flaw. Doesn't mean no one will do it. I mean, if I'd be a bad guy that wants to know and steal stuff, I'd be jumping on creating everything possible so that I can actually get all the info I want. So, you know, it's really, really crazy. And by the way, the chat, the links in the chat, something's broken. Very often something is broken. It gives a 404. It kind of adds characters. It's really, really weird. Some kind of glitch in the chat itself. So, you know, yeah, you can, you know, Alex says, what do you do when you have friends that, you know that you can update it and so on? Yeah, of course, if you know what you do, you can help out. You can help out, of course. But imagine the number of people that are going to stay vulnerable. This is huge. I mean, it's not as if there was a flaw in Windows and all we need is a patch. This is kind of more serious at that level. Now, you can't, because somebody asked me the question, oh, so they can take I don't know if you're talking about Michel ourselves, but this is flavored water, not wine. It's water with some kind of, cranberry, raspberry juice. Cheers. So anyways, you know, it's, they don't take control, you know, they don't take control of the computer or anything. but they read memory. They read all the information they want. They can read the RAM. They can read all the details, everything that's happening. That's what I say. That's, you know, Sheriff's House, I wish there was something in there. I can tell you that. So anyways, I don't know. I think this is going to be, it's crazy, you know, it's stealing of information. And we'll have questions that we'll answer at the end of the show for that, by the way. Consumer Electronics Show going on right now. Actually started today. Of course, lots of announcements before, but lots of things. You know what? Before the show, there's a very nice live coverage. If you want to see a lot of keynotes, go to CNET and just type CNET in YouTube at some point, and you'll see a live stream coming from YouTube Live from CNET, and they're over there at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they are showing all sorts of things. I mean, there was Honda just before the show showing these little robots that frankly looked like, you know, trash cans with eyes. It was kind of weird. It was so Japanese-like. You know, when we look at Japanese, when we look at Japanese technology, there's some weird things in there. I mean, these people have so many weird things in their technologies, and you know, that on the demonstration of their little robots was a clear, what the hell are you doing? It's just crazy. Anyways, lots of announcements. There's announcements. Intel made some announcements. Of course, trying to distract ourselves of the horrible, the horrible side of what's happening with their CPUs right now, showing all sorts of things. Yeah, to add to that, Vols, and that's why there's actually a class action lawsuit that is being asked against Intel. Because what we know right now of Intel, and you are totally right to be pissed off, Vols says, and I think everybody can, is that they seem to have known for a while. I mean, by the way, if we go back to the CPU flaws, they okay, that was discovered by Project Zero and another guy that from University of I'm trying to remember what, but can't remember. Sorry. So what's happening here is that Intel seemed to have known for a while, and what's really crazy here is they pushed CPUs fully knowing that they had the flaw. They didn't respond to this, as if somehow they would think that it's not important, but nobody will know about it or something. I don't know, but it's such a big thing. And I mean, I saw so many hate posts against Intel in the past few days. And, you know, I think everybody's totally right in being very mad at Intel for doing what they did. I do hope that class action lawsuit actually goes through, because, I mean, if you buy, you know, suppose you just bought that new, you know, i7 or i9 or Xeon CPU, and now you know it has that flaw, and it's a brand new thing. I think you're entitled. I think you're entitled for a refund, first of all. But I think you're entitled, if you have it working and it's too complex for a refund, you're entitled for a hell of a, you know, I mean, come on. They handled the situation really bad. That I can say. It was really bad. Really crazy. Hey, MDK2, nice to have you on board. Yeah, Tim, don't go crazy. there is a problem in the chat rooms, even in the radio chat room when people want to post links. It doesn't work. It adds fake characters at the end. There's some kind of weird thing happening there. So it is really, really crazy. Hey, Woodbeast on YouTube, nice to have you here. Happy New Year. So basically, anyways, and we'll answer questions a little bit later on that. So Consumer Electronics Show is that show where there's tons and tons of things that are announced, from crappy things, from unusual things. There was that, what is Samsung's 142-inch screen? The Sony projector for, what is it, a 4K, 8K projector? All sorts of things that were announced, you know, and it's interesting because the Consumer Electronics Show is something that you know, can help a company maybe start up with a brand new technology thing, or it can just kill you. And I would guess that probably half, if not more than half, of the things announced at CES never see day of light, never appear on our markets or anything. So it's just weird. Intel announced their qubit processor. I think it's going to be interesting to see the quantum computing stuff. I think in 2018 we might start seeing a lot of that. Quantum computing, kind of interesting idea also, you know, the fact that now not only can you have a state of yes or no, or 0 or 1, but you can be both at the same time. Totally changing, honestly, the way we compute and how these things work. Miss Lady Catherine, Happy New Year. Nice to have you on board. Alex, the next show is at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's 2200 UT. In 90 minutes. It's 3:26 p.m. right now. In 90 minutes, roughly 90 minutes. So which also limits, by the way, the time length of this show. So CES, I think, is something interesting to you know. There's kind of interesting stuff to look at. For the gadget side, I think anybody loves gadgets of all sorts. There's a lot of things going to be announced there, and I'm keeping an eye on what is you know, what, no 5-hour streams? No, not on this show. I don't think 5-hour streams will be the norm here. So anyways, if you want to Vaslav, CPUs, not gadgets. So anyways, if you want to see all sorts of weird, bizarre things, I think the best coverage that I've seen yet is really CNET's live YouTube feed, which actually shows so many things. Like I said, I saw these beautiful robotized trash cans from Honda. They weren't trash cans, actually, they were robots, but I was like, okay. You know, only the Japanese make these things. So there's all sorts of things, and of course, the different websites of technology. We'll talk about all this stuff that's announced there. Okay, this is an interesting one. Out of the blue, Vaults, we know that the Ryzen 2nd generation is coming in April. It's coming in April. They started talking about it with their Vega GPUs. And by the way, for those that have seen the Vega GPU, the Vega GPU benchmarks, they're kind of crappy. So it's like NVIDIA is the only one going with really, really powerful GPUs right now. But the Ryzen 2nd generation coming in, they announced that it's coming in April of this year. So it's really, really kind of nice. And cool, Alex. Cool, Alex. We'll check that out, absolutely. So second generation coming April. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually have basically, you know, been kept up with the performance and even maybe improved upon. You know, that's always scary. These CPU things is like, you know, it's like every gadget or a computer, everything. You get these great products, and then you get to the second generation, and you're like, that's not quite what I wanted. It isn't actually performing like I thought it should. So, I don't know. So this one is an interesting one, because this is going to be, I think 2018 is going to be very, very, very interesting in Windows 10 PCs. So here's the deal. There will be an app that will bring Amazon Alexa on our PCs. But what makes this announcement really, really something is that HP, Acer, Lenovo, and Dell have all announced that the Amazon Alexa assistant will be part of the new PCs that you buy. Meaning, you're not going to have Cortana. You'll have Alexa. But Windows 10 has Cortana. And that's really going to make something interesting here. So, let's put ourselves in the regular mode of a regular man or woman buying a PC, and Alexa is there instead of Cortana. This is going to be, I don't know, this, you know what, this could actually push Cortana out of the Windows PC. If we just look about the fact that Alexa is, according to the stats, Alexa is the most popular, you know, Amazon has the most popular device right now. The most popular device by now. And that means, of course, if you've got an Alexa or device or an Echo Dot or an Echo or whatever, you'll want your PC to be Amazon's Alexa assistant, because it's all going to synchronize well, and it's all going to work together. I'm starting to think that Cortana is going to be kind of pushed in the corner, and that's going to be an interesting year. One of the things I was hearing this morning, there was a little podcast that I listened to. They talked about this. And one of the things that they mentioned was the Alexa assistant is gathering more and more countries, more and more new markets quite regularly, where Cortana is kind of stalled right now. So what we see is, I can easily see the Amazon Alexa assistant in the Windows PC totally winning and being the major assistant all the time. This is really, really crazy. So Alex says, what will Windows or Microsoft say about this? Well, this, you know what? This is really something, honestly, because obviously Amazon went to these companies and said, hey, we're going to give you cash to put the Alexa app on the PC. So this is going to be, you know, how is it going to present itself? I don't think there's going to be a window that's going to say, hey, you want to have Alexa or Cortana? I think it's just going to be in-your-face Alexa on these PCs. And I think Microsoft, I think one of the things that Microsoft is actually, you know, when we say Microsoft sometimes starts something, looks cool, looks fine, works okay, but for some reason they just can't expand it, they just can't do anything with it, make it better. Isn't that kind of what's going to happen here? We're going to have a fight in Microsoft that wants to integrate Cortana into everything. Will suddenly find itself with a Cortana that's useless. Nobody uses it. Nobody does. Already, you know. Okay, let's be real here. Honestly, how many people are using Cortana? Okay, in their real life, day to day. I mean, okay, at Christmas we had a lot of fun. At Christmas we were all people here. This was open and the microphone was there, and so basically what happened is, you know, people were having a lot of fun because, you know, we started thinking, Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones, how old is Mick Jagger and stuff like that, and you know, everybody was like, oh, I wonder how old, and I was like, hey Cortana, sorry if I started your Cortana guys, and I was like, how old is Mick Jagger? Because I have started, you know, being accustomed to doing that, so for me it was natural because I do use it for all sorts of little things like that. I use it honestly for taking appointments. It's fantastic. I use Cortana to wake me up in the morning. I just tell Cortana to put an alarm for 7 a.m. and it works and it's great and it's easy to do. So I have personally started using it for specific things. But everybody here was like, oh wow, this is so cool. Half of the people here had Windows 10 PCs. I was the only one using Cortana. Just gives you an idea that what? Nobody uses Cortana. And Douglas Elliott uses Cortana to search. Yeah. You know, and honestly, Doug, you know what, Douglas? We might as well have just a search box. If you use Cortana just to search your PC, might as well have just a search box that does the same thing. You know. So, oh, cool, Tim. You'll be happy. The S7 is amazingly cool. You'll love it. First thing you need to do, install the Microsoft launcher. You'll love it. It will transform your phone and you'll just love it. So anyways, you know, at the start, nobody's using these assistants in Windows. When we hear about assistants, I mean, what do we have as assistants? We always think about, you know, Amazon's Echo with Alexa and or Google, you know, Voice or whatever. We don't really think of assistants as Cortana in the PC world. So I don't know, because it's funny, you know, all these. One of the things that I was actually thinking about the other day was I was looking at somebody that was buying a Amazon device, an Amazon Alexa assistant device. That same person had a Windows 10 PC, and I'm thinking, well, if the microphone is on, you've got one. Why are you buying that thing when you've got it there? So obviously the message isn't there, but okay, wait, there's another side to it. Yeah, there's that cool little gadget that's small, that's beautiful, that's somewhere. It's not like having your PC turned on all the time, because obviously if you're using your PC, it's going to be on all the time. The only way that the assistant works all the time. But it's just crazy. I mean, nobody uses Cortana. And I can easily see that move not only will actually increase the sale of all the devices, the assistants, and the devices that go with it from Amazon, but I can see it just wiping away Cortana. And, you know, in a couple of years, we're gonna like, who cares? We're gonna just, you know. And, oh, absolutely, Waltz, you're totally right on that. It's like Apple, you know. Amazon has done what Apple does. Work on the best way to just have people buy things that you don't necessarily need. Gregor Duklidja, nice to have you here, says use Cortana to open files, listen to music, and sometimes shut down, restart, and setting timers. So, you know, I use it for simple things like that. You know, I will use it for alarms. It's easy to set up and the calendar a appointment thanks to Cortana, voice commands. It's really, really cool. You know, I still remember going completely nuts trying to take an appointment with Siri on the iPhone. I mean, what a crappy assistant. It's impossible. And when I got to Cortana and I tried it, I was amazed at how good, precise, and nice it was. So it's really, really cool. So Cooltex uses Google Assistant to ask questions. The Google Assistant is good. Cortana is not bad at all. And you know, each ones are just funny. And actually, we had a few tests going on with different assistants at Christmas Eve, and everybody was at the end of it. I told everybody, well, your assistants cannot do this, and I said, hey Cortana, sing a Christmas song, and she actually sang a Christmas song, and she said, look, none of your assistants can do that. But you know, how useful that is nothing. But you know, Cortana works well. Sabo Salts, nice to have you here. Hello. Pretty cool. And really nice to have everybody here as usual. Gregor's got Microsoft Launcher and Galaxy S8. Yeah, it is amazing. The Microsoft Launcher, I have to say, is a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing to have on an Android device. So anyways, 2018 is going to be the... I'll get a phone if they pick winning lottery numbers. Patrick. So this is going to be the interesting part of 2018, I think. Surface device, Surface Phone. So, you know, we've got contradiction here. 2017, Windows Phone is dead. Then at the end of 2017, we start seeing these patents and these drawings of all sorts of weird devices. And we get to a point where these devices look kind of cool. And basically, it's kind of interesting. And because in a blog post in China, the word Surface, the phrase Surface Phone came up. With this weird thing, with a weird hinge and that what looked like a foldable screen and everything. And basically, that is the interesting part of it. And what actually is the amazing part of it is the fact that they did say Surface Phone. Will that be a Surface Phone? Will that be a phone? You know, I have a lot of doubts with that. We've heard so much that Windows Phone was dead. But then again, they didn't say Surface Phone was dead. But I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one. And Mary Jo Foley from the ZDNet blog was mentioning last week that this thing, that whatever that is, the Surface device, that Surface Phone or Surface thing, not before Redstone 5, so Redstone 5 technically is October of this year, So not before October of this year. So that's going to be interesting. And will it be a phone? I don't know. I'm not sure. Nobody knows really a lot about it. But it does look like a cool device. And like everybody says, you know, Microsoft over the years has worked on a lot of things. We see these patents, we see these drawings, we see what might be a workable demo of, but it never comes to market. We might never see it also. That's also a possibility. Sheriff's House says, won't tell me how old is Gilles Letourneau. First of all, that name is kind of a difficult one to pronounce, so you have to pronounce it right, which is Gilles Letourneau. And I guess if I have, you know, if I'd have a Wikipedia page, maybe. I need to have a Wikipedia page. Cortana seems to go a lot on Wikipedia to find things, so maybe if I have a Wikipedia page of some sort. Yeah, Vault's a zombie phone, something like that. A zombie phone. Probably a zombie phone. So, who knows? Who knows what it is? Oh, God. I don't know. Ricardo Mota, nice to have you here. I'm going well here. And Happy New Year. Nice to have you here. And, yeah. Is there a chance of having the real Windows with ARM? That's for sure, like Cool Tech is saying. But what will it be? And why should it be a phone? Honestly. Why should it be a phone? It could be a tablet, a foldable tablet. That'd be nice. That'll be okay. It doesn't have to be a phone. But it is interesting that it is in the blog post of Microsoft China, Surface Phone. How cold is it? We had the coldest holiday season in like 30 years, 40 years. Between Christmas and New Year, the temperature never rose above -20. We were between -20 and -30 for the whole time in Celsius. And we had a lot of snow, and we still have a lot of snow. There's at least 2.5 feet of snow outside right now. And we're supposed to have about a foot of snow. We had like a foot of snow yesterday. We're going to have another foot of snow Saturday. And maybe another foot of snow somewhere Wednesday next week. And so it was between -20, -30 all the time. It started getting a little better. Like today's about -2 Celsius. It's actually so warm outside that I almost got outside, you know, just wearing a t-shirt at -2. And yeah, Vaults, absolutely. Well, what was very interesting, Vault says watching a blogger lives in Saskatchewan, showing it's -40 Celsius on his video. You know, with the wind chill factor, because a couple of days there was so windy that going outside felt like about -35 here in Montreal. And it was kind of crazy. So yes, that is the Gilles Letourneau is the there's a famous Canadian judge. Yes, and actually, if you search for Gilles Letourneau, he comes up before you'll ever find me somewhere. So, anyways, we've now tomorrow is going to be warm. Tomorrow temperature is going up to like +10, but then it's falling back to about -16 on Saturday, and that's where we're going to have a foot of snow. Just crazy. I saw Alex says it was 30 cold in Florida. I saw. Was it between Christmas and New Year? I think it I think I saw a video, or not a video, but a news item about snow and a little bit of snow in northern parts of Florida. If I'm not mistaken, you guys were pretty cold. Yeah, well, you know, I try to keep. I use all sorts of creams to keep my skin smooth. You know, at 183 years, you gotta really take it easy. So, anyways, you know, it's Canadian winter, but we did have, Bobby Burgess says it's 60 Fahrenheit in Morgan City, Louisiana, which is about, what, 16, 15 Celsius, which is not bad. So basically, anyways, it's been cold this year. It's been really cold, and already they're telling us, hey, hang on to your, you know, trousers, because the electricity bill is going to just go up next year or this year, because about 70% of us are actually heating with electricity here. So when it's really cold like that, what do you think? It's going to be a hell of an electric bill later this year. Andre Arias, nice to have you on board. So yeah, absolutely, Waltz. Yeah, there's a lot of places. You know, I remember a friend of mine, and to give you guys an idea, I remember a friend of mine, because Waltz saying probably worse in places they don't have any eating. And like Florida, you know, basically northern Florida, they don't have a lot of eating there. I mean, in general, it's okay. But I have a story of a friend of mine that went to France. And he lived in a apartment in Paris in January, and that was a year where was really exceptionally cold in Paris. And so, you know, he told me, he's like, oh man, it's so cold in Paris and blah blah blah. And I was telling him, well, you know, what are you whining about? You know, it's 0 Celsius here in Montreal, it's minus 20. And he said, yeah, but you got eating. Here, where I live, because it's so cold right now, they don't have the same heating as we have. So actually, it doesn't heat up the apartment correctly, so it's damn cold all the time. And I was like, oh, okay. One of those places where they got that little heating unit, because it usually does the job for what the temperature is there. But now it's like really cold. And he said, it really doesn't make my apartment warm enough. So yeah, that's exactly what you're saying, Vaults. You know, when it's cold somewhere, there's no real heating, because don't usually need that. Absolutely, that's the worst. Oh man. Okay. What else do we have? Net neutrality. Back in the news a little bit. So what we know about net neutrality is that there's good news, actually. So in the United States, when the vote went through for the net neutrality repeal, there's after it kind of becomes law, or however that works, it is 60 days. 60 days. So for the next 60 days, we're still under the net neutrality rules. It will repeal in 60 days. So that means in 60 days, now it's going away. But we're learning today that Congress was actually, a lot of the lawmakers in Congress and senators were able to force a vote. So to have a vote, from what I understand, they needed 30 senators to actually agree with it. And yes, they had 30. But not only that, they're saying that more and more of the lawmakers that were against net neutrality have so much pressure now on, and so many people saying, no, you can't accept that net neutrality is going away. that a lot of them are actually switching their minds and thinking, well, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe we need to keep net neutrality. So there's going to be a vote. And what people are saying is that it is interesting because there's going to be a vote, and they have 60 days to make that vote. And that 60 days is time to try to change that decision. Will it work? I don't know. Nobody knows. But there's at least one thing. There's at least one thing, is that, you know, at least they will try, at least they will do. Absolutely, you know, like Patrick says, a lot of senators and Republicans got, and you know, a lot, and there was a lot of people there that got a lot of money from ISPs, absolutely. But you know what? It's a lot of the articles I've read seem to point towards a positive side to this. We'll see. We'll see if it can change. Let's hope that it will change. So, yeah. Well, you know, re-election comes from the population of vaults. And one thing for sure is that the majority of the population we know is for net neutrality. The majority are for net neutrality. So I don't think they'll have re-election problems by voting to keep net neutrality. Except that maybe they'll not have money from ISPs or something. But anyways, we'll see what happens. And yeah, Ajit Pai canceled his appearance in the Consumer Electronics Show. He was supposed to appear there, I think it was today or tomorrow I think, to talk about net neutrality and why we don't need it. And there were some death threats against him, so he's not showing up. He's not showing up. And quantum computing, I think, is going to be something this year. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. You know, I actually want to see the first real big computer that works with that. I think that's going to be cool to see. The promise of quantum computing, which for now is something very, very far, because I mean, unless you can have a laptop running at minus 270 degrees Celsius, there's not going to be, you know, it's not everybody that will have it for now. Will we ever, you know, do you guys remember, those are a little scientific on the side, in the 80s, superconductors. You know, there was a lot of talk of superconducting, because when you would put certain metals at really, really cold temperatures, they become almost with zero resistance. And basically, we heard about that and how, oh yeah, we can do that and one day that's going to be the thing. And I mean, we're still using good old wires of, you know, with the regular resistance. Why? Because they've never really found a way to have that working at kind of our regular temperatures that we have on Earth. So, you know, we're kind of, it's and then, you know, of course there's a lot of other things that took the place for that. You know, I'm afraid of quantum computing being something that will be only for specific markets or specific things, because the complexity, but you know, we never know. I mean, maybe somebody someday will find that specific material that can behave at room temperature like the quantum CPUs can behave at extremely cold temperatures right now. Everything's possible, but who knows? Vault says, might have made a great show of hanging Ajit Pai on stage live. Oh, you know what? That would have been actually a great video, but I don't know if it would have standed there. You make an agit pie piñata, and you make a nice video of agit pie piñata, and hitting on the piñata. Josh Kinder, nice to have you on board. Happy New Year. So, yeah, Sony. That's one of the things I was trying to see. Yes, everybody fell in love with that little robot dog. It's kind of funny. Okay, a few questions. They generally answer Alex total question and Martin that also had questions about this. Should I be worried of the Spectre and Meltdown security flaw? You should be worried, yes, to a certain point. It is a huge security problem. It will be very, very difficult to have it fixed. That said, for now, until now, there's no proof that anybody exploited the flaws. So for now, there's no proof or anything like that. Maybe something did. Maybe somebody does it somewhere right now, but we don't know about it. But for now, what can I do to have my devices secure? Updated in any way and form possible. What does that mean? Okay, if you've got Internet of Things devices, if you've got little gadgets of any kind, the update part goes with check for updates for the device itself. Any device that updates the software, the operating system, and the firmware or the basics of the machine at the same time, that's cool because that's the best way to fix those security flaws. On the PC side, it's really complex, guys. Okay, start by making sure that you update your Windows operating system when you have it. And if you know a little bit, or if you know somebody around you and your computer's really not very old, have somebody knowledgeable take a look at the possibility of updating either the UEFI firmware today or in the coming week or so, or the BIOS in the case where you have an older machine with BIOS inside, and check if there's an update. If there's an update, that is the best patch possible. Sheriff's House, yes, there's a patch Tuesday today. It has only shown with a Adobe Flash Player patch. Anyways, I'll have a video on the channel later today about the patch Tuesday today. I guess we got the patches a little early, and so today there's not a lot of things. There's also the fact that you know, there was anyways, we were patched last week because of the security flaw, so it's, anyways, we kind of don't have that much. So there's the Flash Player update. There's a lot of you that still don't have, by the way, the update also, because there's the security what was I saying? I got distracted by the chat room. I get distracted by the chat room sometimes like this. So anyways, you'll have the security. Okay, so a lot of you are not having the security update, depending on third-party antivirus. If you're running the antivirus, the only way it's going to show up is when the antivirus is actually updated and compatible. Then the update will show up. If you have an AMD machine, no updates. No updates on AMD side. Windows 7, Windows 8 PC should see some updates showing up today, but it's kind of a little crazy what's happening. But anyways, I'll have a roundup of that on the video today, talking about what we've got. And some of you are still not updated because of different issues happening right now. Why Intel more affected than AMD? It's simply by the way that the design of the processor, and that's it. AMD uses, I was reading an article of how AMD uses, or actually interacts with the system, which makes it immune a lot more to the Meltdown one. But it's still open and vulnerable to the Spectre one. Albert Zappa, nice to have you here. Happy New Year. Is my Mac or PC or my iPhone affected? Everything, almost everything is affected somehow. On the Mac side, you've got an update, brings to 10.13.2. On the iOS side, you got an update. I don't remember what's the number that it brings you to, but there's an update there too. And you know, that will be something. I've seen also something about the update not showing up. Not just, it doesn't show up for some antivirus if you're using third-party antivirus. It doesn't show up if you're on AMD right now, and it doesn't show up on specific things sometimes. I've seen people that don't have third-party antivirus. They're on Intel, and it's actually not showing up. So if it doesn't show up, it's really clearly because there's a little something. As for the updates, who is it? Sheriff's House. You might have the updates installed. You should look at the at your computer's Windows Update log, because the updates that are installed today don't require a restart. So they might be installed on your machine, you don't even know about it. They installed it without you knowing, not knowing, because it doesn't require a restart. So it's kind of interesting. Apart from that, BIOS and UEFI firmware updates for devices affected by Spectre and Meltdown. So we know that a lot of devices will have these updates, either BIOS updates or UEFI firmware updates. And basically, what's happening is that, of course, if your machine is set up to update that automatically, somehow with maybe, you know, there's a lot of assistance with different manufacturers that actually update the machines everywhere. So if the assistants are there for that, they're going to do it. A lot of machines will not be, and that's the thing, what to do with older devices. A lot of machines will not get the BIOS or UEFI updates. And those will, you'll have to rely on staying safe through the operating system. One of the things also we know is that the first wave of operating system updates, like on Windows 10, was kind of rushed because it was kind of a really important thing to do. But there will be kind of a release of another update that just will be better. Kind of make it a little smoother on the machines and maybe tweak it to make it more secure if possible. But still, you know, there's a lot of things. Yeah, that's because you've got the cumulative update that had the Spectre and Meltdown, Sean Robinson, because for the most part, just for example, I had the update already for that on Windows. So yeah, but that's the problem, Vaults, is that it needs to be done, and it's really crazy. So it depends on the update you've got, anyway, Sean. If you've got the cumulative update with the Spectre, and of course if you're on Windows 7 or Windows 8, you might have had the big updates, which would mean you restart your machine. But if you had only the, like today I had only the Flash player and the Defender, the malware removal tool update and stuff like that. And finally, IoT, smartphones, network attached storage, everything is affected in a way if it has an ARM processor. It all has to do with one thing. Will your device have updates? And because the Internet of Things devices of all sorts, half of them are abandoned to their own fate, Half of them will always be vulnerable. But you know, you gotta also remember that depending on the device you have, you know, what is the type of information they can get off of it, for sure. So, but you know, crazy times. Crazy times. And let's hope that the most amount of devices get fixed in some way to have all of that working correctly. I think is going to be important. And so check for your updates for sure. And yeah, Patrick, you know what? I got, and you could see, and by the way, I had a very interesting story today. So for those that watch my videos, you might have seen, as Patrick have seen, the I used the real phishing scam email that I received and showed the real site, the phishing site, and the little details on how to see the difference between the fake and the real things in a banking site. But when I actually posted the video, I received 3 phishing scam in the half hour that followed. And all 3, okay, one was from Royal Bank, the one that I did. One was from TD Canada. And there's another one from a local bank here in Quebec, which is a Caisse Populaire, which is the a local Quebec bank. And all 3, when I actually looked at the link, when you just hover your mouse over the link, all 3 sent to the same website. It was just that the URL was slightly different. So these guys were actually actively sending millions of emails for different banks at the same time, not just one. They weren't targeting just one. It was really nice to see the different banks at the same time. So it's kind of interesting. You could see that they were really working hard to try to lure people into these phishing scam sites. And when I saw the phishing email, I thought there's nothing better than using the real example of a phishing scam email to actually show people the differences between the fake and the real. Now I had a real one. I could do something. I could show it. I could hover the mouse and show that the link doesn't bring you to the correct website. Show you just, you know, how they look alike, but one is real and one's not. And you know, I thought it was a great idea to show it. Oh, Vault says AMD announced desktop price updates for 1700 for the CPU 1700 series, 329 299, 1800X 499 349, and 1600 299 219 to 189. So that is nice because it means price drops. Hopefully we'll see those price drops in purchased computers. That's what we always hope for, basically, that the purchased computers have those prices changed. I'm in the process of buying a new PC, and I gotta say one thing. I was amazed at how expensive they are. I was not expecting that I'd have to pay so much money for a laptop. You know, I'm looking at the prices because I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And I was totally not expecting that. So I'll try to find a deal. But crazy prices. You know, and it shows, you know, like Patrick says now, if they would drop memory prices, absolutely. So, what recording software I use? I'm testing out OBS Studio right now, but I'm having a lot of issues with it. There's a lot of things that are weird on it. But I'm playing around with that. Alright, cool tech. So anyways, you know, it's kind of interesting to check out. Yeah, well, that's one thing that I did think about, as Waltz is saying, waiting for a computer. Now that we know it's happening, you know, I'm kind of glad, because I gotta say, I was this close just before Christmas. I was this close to buying a PC. I saw one, and what actually prevented me from buying it was solely one little thing. It was an Acer machine. And for some reason I can't, you know, I know they seem to be better than they were, and I mean, it really looked nice. It was a beautiful machine. But I don't know why I couldn't kind of push myself in buying an Acer for some reason. So I thought, okay, but you know, on paper, on on everything, you know, Core i7 and everything that wasn't there, it's like, yeah, it's a nice machine, and it was like about $1,700. I was like, wow, this is you know, expensive buy, and wait, you know, something told me wait. And because I don't want, that's the kind of thing you don't want to rush into. You want to take the time to get the machine that you want to have, that will be good and that will do what you want. So you know, I said no. And now I'm happy, because I mean, I would have bought a machine obviously with a flaw in it, and of course the you know, the idea behind this was to just now wait, you know, get a machine that has a CPU that won't have any of these flaws. And you know, I'm expecting that maybe in you know, I think we're in that period of time, February, March, April, where not a lot of people are buying PCs. It's like everybody spend their cash at Christmas. Maybe the prices will go down a little bit. I don't know. But I don't want to rush into things, especially for something that I know will probably cost me in the end anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. No rush. I mean, what I have here is still working. My Core i5 is still streaming. I'm not in a rush to do it, for sure. So that's for sure. So hey anyone, we're going to shut down. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And basically, we are going to be live in about 45 minutes. And yeah, you'd be surprised, Waltz. I saw some really nice things. That $1,700 laptop from Acer was very powerful, with a nice 512 gig SSD in it and everything. It was really, really nice. You'd be very surprised. Yes, I did see it arrive through, Tim. Thank you very much for your donation. Much appreciated, my friend. So we're going to be back in, what, 40 minutes with the Windows Insider show on the Insider channel. So if you want to join us for that. And it had, I don't want to have 64 gigs of RAM, though, Waltz. That's too much for the usage that I do. It had 16 gigs of RAM. It had a 512 gig SSD. It had an NVIDIA 1080 Ti or something like that. I don't remember the exact model, but a nice GPU with its own RAM. It had a lot of nice things going for it. I can tell you that. So thanks everybody. We'll be back in 45 minutes with the Insider Show on the Insider channel. And of course, for those that are not joining in, we'll be back next week for sure. For those on the radio stuff, this week we'll have 2 radio shows. Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UT. We'll be tuning the bands a little bit, talking about the radio. Saturday on the radio show, we will have a special radio show where we're going to explain solar activity. You know, how it works, what we know, what to expect of the solar cycle, the next solar cycle 25, and all of that. So I hope you guys enjoy that. That's on Saturday. So take care, everybody. Really, really, really nice to have you on board. And yeah, I haven't done my my choice yet, Val. So everything is on the table. I even am open with the AMD Ryzen CPUs in there. So I'll be checking that out for sure. So take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back next Tuesday, 3 p.m. We're here at 3 p.m. 2000 hours UTC on of course, this channel. Bobby, keep that question and ask me the question Friday. Friday is going to be, well, Friday or Saturday, but Friday is going to be a great time. So ask me that question, what the simple code, how to use it, what it means, and I'll be happy to answer it. Absolutely, Bobby. So thank you everybody. See you a little later for those that are joining in. See you next week for the others. See you Friday or Saturday for those that will be on the radio show. Take care, everybody. Love you all, and see you next week. The Live Tech Show, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2000 hours UT. Bye-bye.